All right, yeah, go.
Team Jamaica Bickle started an internship program last year in memory of Jackie Robotham, one of our stalwarts who passed away. Since then, we have had interns from from UTech. This year, we'll have an intern from GC Foster as part of the build out and allowing for young people to see what we do as part of their coursework. This year, we are also honored to inform the community that as part of our continued build out of our relationship with the historical Black colleges and universities, that they too will be sending an intern to work with us at the Penn Relays to bring that kind of camaraderie and intersocialization and recognizing that we are all one people. To work with us at the Penn Relays, and we'll see this build out in many other ways because, as you know, many of our top coaches are coaches within the HBCU. One that jumps to mind, of course, is our well celebrated Ines Turner, Dr. Ines Turner. People like Lennox Graham and others have passed through. So we're very happy about this relationship, and we hope to build on it going forward.
All right. All right. So you're talking about you made $150,000 this year. Talk to us about that.
All right. So we set ourselves a target of $150,000 outside of the normalcy. When I say normalcy, in other words, our operating budget. The reason for that is we wanted to make a significant impact on accommodations this year in honor of Alcion Wilson, our deceased Consul General, who was our former patron and a great supporter of ours at the Penn Relays. So that aspect of that aspirational total target was primarily to assist our athletes in lowering significantly the accommodation expense, recognizing also too that we would have severed, or say the relationship with ourselves and Caribbean Food Delight would have evolved, where no longer are they involved in the activation at Penn as it relates to the presentation of our nutritional process for our athletes. So that would have also be part of that whole reach or aggressive approach to acquire those amount of monies. We were successful in doing that, and kudos go out to the whole execution of our program on Sunday. And it's obvious that our main sponsors responded, our main partners in this endeavor responded: Resort World, Second Round Foundation, BFW, that's Blaine Stoddard's company, and Tower Isle. They all stepped up to the plate to ensure that we arrived at those figures to make our presentation this year a manageable one. We still need to raise additional funds because, as you all know, the more funds we raise, we're able to reduce the expenses of our athletes coming from Jamaica, especially against this backdrop of the Hurricane Melissa and its impact on their infrastructure and the ability for them to raise funds. But we also recognize too the importance of our athletes being on this grand stage. It's a gold standard stage for student athletes at their level. For many students too, it will be their final year, so we had to ensure that the opportunity for them to participate was available. And we say thanks to our audience, to our supporters, to our well-wishers for helping us to get to that level of sponsorship. And we continue to ask for the continued generous contributions.
So that 150,000 you spoke about, is this from the activation on Sunday, or this is specifically for people who donated to the cause?
Okay, by the time we would have gotten into the event on Sunday, we were some $25,000 away from the total.
So some of this was...
So we're able to collect on that day upwards of $25,000.
Oh, okay. And so this money is now about how many students would this in terms of the accommodation?
As it is right
How
now,
many schools you would be able to assist?
we are accommodating. We are processing 1,250 room nights spread out over a week. There are about 560 athletes that is staying within the hotel complex. That means we technically have bought out 2 hotels. All right, and the management of that, plus feeding these athletes from arriving from Sunday to departing on Sunday. So our whole expanse, our whole management this year is more expansive, because from an athlete arrives at the airport, we have put in place insurance. We feed them, we transport them, we provide all the necessary basic stuff, and ensuring that it's a home away from home. It calls for a lot of cash to care.
And typically, when do they start arriving?
On Sunday. This Sunday.
Oh, so it's really a Sunday to Sunday operation.
Yes, and in some cases to Monday, because some of these athletes, based on flight situations, that's how it's responded to.
And you spoke about the relationship with Caribbean Food Delights. How long have they been a part of it?
Well, and let me just get, they're still a part and a support of ours. What has changed, what has evolved, is their involvement in the nutritional product. In other words, they were the centerpiece of our production at the Penn Relays. That aspect of it has changed. They still remain a supporter, but not at the level at which they were for the past 31 years.
Okay. And so what's the new arrangement? Or how are the athletes fed? Is the food prepared on site?
Yes, we have now outsourced the food production to the area restaurants in Philadelphia. Once again, Team Jamaica Bickle empowering economically, our restaurants, our Jamaican and Caribbean restaurants in Philadelphia. So when we collect money, we also spend significant of these monies back into our community, and that's a statement that needs to be underscored. So over the years, we have now seen the capacity to handle these kind of situations fastly developing in the Philadelphia area amongst restaurants. Jamaican restaurants.
And in terms of the athletes this year, talk about the impact of Melissa on the preparation for some of our high school athletes or even collegiate athletes.
Sure. It was a rather, I'd say, one of those trajectory for them this year that was filled with apprehension, because as you know, coming out of Melissa, many of corporate Jamaica would have been involved in benevolence, in helping to provide for those affected, and of course, monies are finite, and so many corporations struggled to maintain their obligations to sports productions. Effective right after Christmas, you'd have meets in Jamaica, at least 2 meets every Saturday. Developmental meets sponsored by varying companies. Some of those meets are cancelled or tailored down. And so Team Jamaica Bickle helped to fill in the slack there, because for the first time, Team Jamaica Bickle sponsored outright a meet in Jamaica, the Anderson Fuller meet, where we spent upwards of $12,000 US to make it happen for athletes from Western and Central Jamaica. We also invested in the Stets Classic at the Stets High School for, again, schools are not along that belt. We also invested in Central Champs and in Western Champs. And to top that all off, we secured merchandise from one of our sponsors totaling $80,000 US, over 80,000 near 90,000 US dollars, primarily targeting schools on the western central area of the country. So Team Jamaica Bickle got into action where we would have spent from our fundraising endeavors upwards of $30,000 on these type of events. So to help in the development and the preparation of our athletes for champs and for the global stage. And we're quite honored by that, and we're just grateful that we're able to chime in to ensure that there's continuity in their development and in their preparation for these kind of events.
And we saw where Team Jamaica Bickle facilitated athletes from here in the US going on for Gibson relays. Talk about that.
Yes. In 2009, we initiated this. Back then, we were inspired by what the Gibson relays is all about, and started bringing teams in. We've been doing on and off. We felt that this year was critical that we do so to expose our area students, our children born here in the United States, to have them develop relationships with home, and also to experience a competitive environment that exists back in Jamaica. So we're able to sponsor some 8 to 10 young ladies from the area to participate at the Gibson Relays. It was a great exposure and experience for them. In fact, one of the athletes qualified to represent Jamaica at the Carifta Games, and that just demonstrates the power of the diaspora and the need for alliances and how we can work together. It is through these kind of relationships that we build capacity between home country and the diaspora, and we're very proud of that lane that we're able to establish.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps us satisfy to some of our sponsors in the domestic market as to what we're doing. The Resort Worlds of the world, who are a major contributor to us here in Southeast Queens. These are some of the things that would enhance the relationship that we have with them, demonstrating the community aspect and providing opportunities for young people.
And 2 last questions. Talk about your top 2 sponsors who have stepped up to the plate, and what have they brought to the table that have made a difference?
Resort World has contributed immensely to the bottom line of the accommodation for our athletes, and those are the funds that initiated that. In memory, we're doing that in memory of Alcyon Wilson. And as far as the food portion of it, the Second Round Foundation, Jalen Bronson's foundation, stepped up immensely to underwrite to ensure that the continuity of our nutrition program continues. And I have to say kudos to Tower Isle, who has been a silent but a progressive supporter of ours. They too have increased their largesse in making sure that this year our athletes are well taken care of.
And finally, in terms of where Team Jamaica Bickle is positioned after 30 years, is it where your vision it would have been, or there's still a lot more to accomplish?
No, it's not. I did not know that we'd be here, but recognizing what we have achieved demonstrates that what we have achieved has also created opportunities, and we must recognize that we don't sit. What we don't do at Team Jamaica because is sit on our laurels, but to recognize that our achievements is a stimulus to greater things, and in greater things, opening new horizons, building new relationships. Looking at the external market to bring resources into our marketplace, and so that we provide for other organizations a blueprint from which they could adhere to or follow. Because when we do these kind of things, it is a community that benefits. So if we're the vehicle to make it happen, then we have an obligation to do so. And last but not least, I'll share with you that we also were able to partner with a supporter through Penn Relays to underwrite all the fees that schools would normally pay, the participation fee at the Penn Relays. That could be as high as $16,000. So again here, making inroads and providing opportunities for our athletes to make their stay here one that is pleasant, and one is far fulfilling, and at the same time reducing their expenses.
And as I'm hearing you talking and all the things that you've accomplished over the 30 odd years, tell me one feel-good story or one thing that Team Bickle has done that comes to mind that, you think the community really needs to know, a success story.
When we consider the magnitude of the Penn Relays, and it's a second longest athletic event in the world. And when we juxtapose that to what Jamaica and how Jamaica feels about athletics, it's a significant stage. And when you consider the Penn Relays is held in the oldest stadium in the United States, and a gold standard event, and you can look up at that stadium and look up at the stadium and have as the first international foreign flag to fly up there was Jamaica's back in 1999. That is pause for me to celebrate, because it is truly a David versus Goliath, the smallest flag, but the first foreign flag to fly up there. We're bringing teams of 600 versus 20,000 athletes, David versus Goliath. And for our people here in these United States to have our flag flying there, it tells me that, yes, we do appreciate where we are, but we also recognize that we have not forgotten where we come from, and wherever we come, and because we know that, we make where we come from prominent in where we are. Mm-hmm. To me, that is significant, and there have been lots of other things. Don't get me wrong, but that to me, from a symbolic, nationalistic perspective, that is power for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, man. Thanks